Brazil, Brazil, Brazil. Here they are, man. Everyone says they're going to win it. Everyone is saying this is their year. Everyone is saying that this is when Brazil will bring that World Cup back home. That's the belief. That's the thought process. And everyone has this profound certainty, this profound assuredness that this is going to be where Brazil bring home the trophy and where they bring home the glory. It's interesting. We'll get back to this because I've already said that, of course, Brazil are talented and this is their best chance to win it. But I don't think they will. But we'll get back there. Let's take a trip down memory lane, yo. This is obviously one of the saddest days in Brazil history. There is another sad day. So this is sad day number one, but there's another one that was sadder. World Cup final, 1950, at the crib, at home, huge crowd, hundreds of thousands upon thousands of people, and they lose to Uruguay. Very hurtful and a very painful day in Brazilian football. And for a while, it was the saddest day in Brazilian football until some weird thing happened in 2014. I don't know. I think that's like something weird happened in 2014. I don't know what it was. Do you? I don't know. Star is born. Came out of nowhere. And the reason why Brazil is such a special place, I've got it right here. Was it? Yeah. And why it's such a special place is Brazil gave birth to football's first superstar. Before him, we're just playing football, but this was the first truly transcendental, truly exceptional player in football. Your boy Pele, and who at 17 years of age took the world by storm. And it was an amazing thing because I think a lot of people say, well, who was he playing against? He was playing against carpenters, playing against fruit sellers, part-timers. But you have to look at things in a very general sense. For a 17-year-old, a teenager, to be able to have that kind of impact against grown men and men who are experienced, it's like Mozart. People say, because the crazy thing is that, wait a minute, how is this 17-year-old this good? How is this 17-year-old able to do what we can do? Because we've been playing this. It doesn't matter whether we are playing this game in the past. We have way more experience than this kid. We've got years on this boy. How can you just come in as a 17-year-old and you're balling to this kind of a level and you're scoring the kind of goal that you're scoring in a semi and in a final? So that's what made it such a big deal, that you have to put yourself back in that time of like, wait, what is, how, this makes no sense. It makes no sense. And yeah, Brazil went on to win the World Cup in 1958, and Pele and a hero was born. Because that was story. Because I mean, when it's Uruguay won it in 1930 or when they won it in 50 and so forth, that was just a team game. But the story was Pele. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? It's sort of like, even if there's a bit of a racial tax on it because he didn't play against black players, Babe Ruth in baseball, but then people talk about Jackie Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson. I think the closest thing to this in another sport, I would say, I think it's something like a Mike Tyson, because it's the whole age thing of like someone so young being so amazing. Like, because Mike Tyson, I think he became the youngest heavyweight winner of the youngest heavyweight winner of all time. So that was a story that was permitted to the world. I'm like, who is this teenager who is playing football unlike anything we've seen and is such an amazing individual? So all the eyes were on, okay, what can these guys do? What can they do in 1962? What can they do in 1962? Well, they can injure him. Which is what they did. They said, okay, this guy is too good. He's too amazing. Let's get him out of the World Cup. So with Pele pretty much kicked out of the World Cup in the literal sense, Brazil, okay, what the hell do we do? Like, we can't do anything. Like this is our star. This is our main guy. This is the guy that we will look to win. And Brazil, like, my gosh, we can't win. How can we do it without Pele? He's our superstar. This is why Brazil has always been so special. Enter your boy Garrincha, who apparently one leg was shorter than the other one, but again, I don't know. That's just an urban legend. But Garrincha said, okay, fine. If we don't have Pele, let me come through. And this was the World Cup that your boy Garrincha shined in. And he took the reins in the absence of the injured Pele. So which is why whenever I look at this World Cup, people say Pele has 3 World Cups. No, it doesn't. Pele has 2. I don't count this. I don't count it. For me, I think you have to give the spotlights to Garrincha and obviously the Brazilian team who are able to save What's and ball in Pele's absence. You cannot give this to Pele. You can make no sense. You have like same thing as how I don't give Ronaldo that World Cup in '94. I don't give Kaká that World Cup in '02. So you have to play a true. You have to be play a true. You have to be play. Not a pivotal role. You have to be truly part of the team for the plethora of the tournaments for you to say, aha, you won that. So for me, Pele has to not play. And I think for this, it just showed you that Brazil had arrived. They said what's up, and Garrincha was African dude. So 6-6, again, that was the one that your boys England won. I think they even beat them in 66. But then came 1970, and many people argue that this is perhaps the greatest World Cup team of all time. And I may believe that, because they played football that was out of this world. And you have to understand what Italy was, because Italy were known as a super defensive side and perhaps the best defensive side in the world. So this was sort of similar to the 2017 UCL final of Real Madrid against Juventus. The immovable force. The unstoppable force meets the immovable objects. Which one is going to give away? And I think in both senses of the word, the unstoppable force was one that said what's up, because Brazil slashed and diced them 4-1. And many people say this is the greatest team goal of all time. Watch it. And especially watch what Rivellino does. Because for me, I actually sat and actually watched like the full game, and Rivellino was the best player on that pitch. Rivellino was absolutely amazing. But I mean, when you look at this team goal, look at where it starts, and look at how it finishes, and keeping in mind that this is Carlos Alberto. For me, I think this is one of the most iconic images in football, because when you just look at how high he is off the ground, and how that ball ends up in the bottom left, and just what had to happen for him to come in there, it's insane. So it was just how they finished it in style, and I think that's why people say this 1970 team is one of the greatest teams of all time. People may say it is arguably the greatest World Cup team of all time, based on how they played and the amounts of individuals they had. It was just a superb, amazing, iconic team. And yeah, man. So with this, I think the feeling was Brazil are here to stay there first. So they've won in 58, they won in 62, they won in, so to win 3 World Cups in 4, they're like, oh, okay, we have to watch out for these guys, and so the feeling was, okay, no, Brazil are now going to set a precedent to perhaps dominate world football for several years to come. Another iconic photo, and I think you see many people. This is an iconic photo. And I think that, this solidified Pele's status, because I believe there's only one other player who has scored in Super. I think it's Breitner, the guy who scored in 74, and I think he scored in. Did he score in 70? No. I think he scored in like 86 or something. But I think he's the only player to score in 2 World Cup finals. Oh no, and also there's Zidane as well. Sorry, Zidane. Focus Zidane as well. So, but before then, Pele was the only guy to appear not only appear in 2 World Cup finals, but also to score in 2 separate World Cup finals. And the thing is, how it was 12 years apart. From where it was in 58 to where he was obviously in 1970, And I think this is what helped solidify Pele as, okay, this has to be one of the greatest players of all time, you know. Um, 82. I think it is widely agreed that this is the best team to never win the World Cup. Because I remember, because again, as I said again, so I used to have this VHS tape that showed World Cup games, and I used to watch it all the time when I was in Nigeria, just watch it all day. And so whenever they showed the 1982 thing, bro, the football these guys played was incredible. Like, this was literal joga bonito. Like, they played supreme, outstanding football. And one of the figureheads of that was the boy Zico. So even if Zico never won the World Cup, the reason why he's so revered is because of just how good he was, and also how he was literally the talisman of the best team to never win the World Cup. Like, some people talk about the Argentinian team, because I think the Argentinian team was amazing. So, but I'll still say that the 06 Argentinian team are probably the second best team to not win the World Cup. But for me, the 82 team was just superb. They were superb. So people thought, oh no, these guys they're going to win it. They're easily going to win it. Like, it's theirs. They're far too good. But they just ran into Italy and your boy Rossi. They ran into UP and your boy Rossi, and I think this is why I think Brazil then they had to look into them themselves, because they were like, this doesn't make sense. How did we not win when we knew we played the most attractive football? So this is where they questioned themselves and said, okay, maybe it's not about playing the best football eye, the most attractive on the eye. It's just about maybe being a lot more robust. So this loss to Italy definitely forced Brazil into an identity crisis as to what should we do? What is our criteria? What is our identity? And then they had to wait until 94. So nothing in this, no trade in 86, no trade in 1990, and they came in 94. And you see, the 94 team was the complete antithesis. They were the complete antithesis to the 82 team. They were the complete antithesis to the 82 team. Because with the 82 team, it was all about flash, flair, full offensive. This was much more about pragmatism. Of course, there was some flair here and everything, but this was much more about being pragmatic and just really just grinding out the result with a sprinkle of flair. But this was definitely a difference course correcting from what they were doing in 82. Every World Cup needs a star, and he was a clear standout player. I call Romario one of the smartest players I've ever seen, because the way he played the game was purely psychological. Go and look at his goal against Sweden in the semi-final. Just the finish. I'm like, nobody finished like Romario. The way he finished chances was just insane, because mentally, psychologically, he was just on a whole different plane. So Romario was a star. And I told this is my first World Cup. I call this the greatest World Cup final, because it was like, it felt so epic. I think there were about 3 chances in the whole game. Baresi was on one. And it was a shame that, it had to end with Badji missing that penalty and Badji being one of the best players at that World Cup. But it was what it was. Brazil were victors, and Brazil were back at the map. They were back at the map, and they were back saying, what's up? So Brazil were like, okay, right now we now have this World Cup. And they felt that it was a bit too much of a gap of winning it in 1970 and 1994. They were like, nope, we have to now say what's up. I think you know who this guy is. Good old Ronnie, good old Aldo. He was part of that squad in 94, but he was obviously, again, it doesn't count because he was too young, so he didn't even play a single minute. But it just showed you that he was so talented that even as a teenager, he could be part of that squad and that team. And there was a lot really said about him. Now, not every young player manages to say, what's up, look at freaking Robinho. But guys say, no, Ronaldo, this is a guy to watch out for. And he blossomed. From what he did with PSV and then at Barcelona, because like, okay, we may have the next great player here. As in, not because Romario, amazing, but people are saying, no, no, this is the next superstar of the game. As in, football has not seen someone of this kind of star power and otherworldly ability since Pele. So there was massive excitement. There was huge excitement with the arrival of your boy Ronaldo. And you see, this 98 team was harkening back to the 1970 and the 82 team. A lot more flair and a lot more dynamic than years previously. And when you looked at just how good they were, the feeling was, okay, this is our cup. This is our World Cup. And Ronaldo took the world by storm. Because you have to remember, this guy, he was 21. He was 21 here. And I think Brazil felt that this is our Pele. This is our superstar player, and he can do and fulfill what Pele did back in '58 and back in 1970. And when you just look at his goal in the World Cup semi-final against an amazing Netherlands side, there was just a feeling that, oh no, this is it. And I think everyone felt it, that if Brazil gets that final, they can't be beat. They can't be beat. Whether it's through 90, through 120, through penalties, they cannot be beat if they reach that final. I'm going with it was poisoned. That's just me. That's my story, and that is the version that I will stick to. And I don't want to argue about it. I remember so I was in Nigeria. I remember sitting down and I was like, oh my gosh, Ronaldo, and I was like excited, like, how are France going to stop him? And I just remember watching it, and I was just in shock. I didn't understand. I was like, wait a minute, but it's Ronaldo. Because for me, he was like when you grew up with Ronaldo, it was like you're looking at a superhero. It's similar to how guys look at like a Messi or a Cristiano Ronaldo now, but I was like, no, this guy's like a superhero. So seeing how he was, because this guy was, in every game he was alive, it was amazing. And I was like, no, this is not the Ronaldo that we know. This is not the Ronaldo that we've known throughout this whole World Cup. So I was just shocked. So I didn't know the stuff about how he wasn't in the lineup, but then he became in the lineup. I was like, okay, what is this? But yeah, it was a weird one. And I would love to go back in time if he didn't have that panic attack. He was fully fit and so forth. I really don't know who wins that game, because France definitely had the feeling of the home nation within them. But a fully fit Ronaldo, without any distractions or so forth, I don't know who wins that game. I may push it that it may be Brazil because of what Ronaldo was about, but I don't know who wins that game, because it was a very good France team. It was a very good France team. For me, I put it this way: it goes to penalties. Maybe it's 1-1. It goes to penalties, and then again, it's a lottery. Because with the penalties, it's a lottery. Penalties is not really about skill, especially when you have two quality sides. It's just about who holds their nerve the best. So I don't know who would have won. But yeah, this was this was the image, man. I remember this image, man, and I remember just sitting down in my living room in Nigeria, and I was like, what happened? Like, this makes no sense. It makes no sense. And the story was, and I think what the story felt would be like, oh wow, so much hope that this would sort of be like, rather than it being the Pele story, this would be the Zico story. A quality amazing player failed to fulfill that World Cup dream. Something that Neymar wants to avoid. So O2 was an interesting one. This team wasn't as good as the one in 98. The 98 team was better, was more robust, but it was still Brazil, and he still had guys like Roberto Carlos and Cafu there. And it wasn't the same Ronaldo. He suffered, his knee exploded, suffered what should be a career-ending injury. And he came in with many questions of like, is he still the same player? He's been away for so long. So people didn't really have faith that Ronaldo could do anything. And I think Ronaldo even said that, he did that whole haircut just to sort of distract people from questions about whether he could say, well, what's up, especially with what happened 4 years ago. So I didn't know what to expect. And I'll be real with you. This World Cup, I was looking at, man, gosh, man, what could Italy do? What could Spain do? What could France do? So I think the focus for most people was on France, on Spain, and on Italy. And guys were just okay because Brazil is Brazil, but I don't think guys were really thinking that they could really do something, specifically Ronaldo. I think this is the most iconic moments of the World Cup, and I think this was the World Cup that gave us Ronaldinho. As much as it was Ronaldo's World Cup, this was where we got introduced to this freak of nature known as Dino, and one of the most iconic goals in all of football. And this is a game that he took over. The amazing assist to Rivaldo, and yes, he meant it, chipping Seaman from just over the halfway line. Dino has entered. Dino's African dude, man. But Ronaldo was on one. Ronaldo was on one. And because for me, I always say, what? Of course, every game matters. But as you go deeper and deeper and deeper, the games get harder and harder and harder. So the second round is hard. The quarterfinal is harder. The semi-final is harder. And the final is the final boss. And again, and it's funny, even the commentator even says when he scores this goal, every World Cup needs a hero. And this was a good target, and the game was tight. The game was tight. But Ronaldo just found a way. And I think Ronaldo, he was just focused on justice, to pretty much try to right the wrongs of 4 years ago and say, no, this is different. And the beauty about this was that this was not the same player quality-wise 4 years ago. 4 years ago, he was a much better player. He wasn't the same player quality-wise. He didn't have the spring in his step. His knees had gone. So that explosiveness, which is what made him so dangerous, it was gone. But all this was just mentality. He knew that I'm not the same player I was. I can't do the same things that I could do before to maybe get past defenders. But this isn't about that. This is about Gid. And Gid isn't concerned with step over, skills, dribbles, and fancy goals. Gid is about get it done. By any means necessary, get it done. And he was on Gid. I remember where I was. I remember just watching it and I was like, man, he really is back here. And I was nervous because man, Ronaldo, jeez, he clean dudes and everything. And just seeing him score those 2 goals, I was like, so where he was 4 years ago, how down he was, how disappointed he was, getting that injury that pretty much took away his game. Let's be like, that injury took away the Ronaldo that we knew, the Ronaldo that we thought would be the greatest player of all time. And to have that mental fortitude and strength to be like, I am going to help and lead my country to this World Cup by any means necessary. I was like, that's greatness right there. That is horseman right there. That is straight. That is fluent horseman. And it was great. So Ronaldo, he said, I've done it. And Brazil, you see, many people would have felt that, I think Brazil felt that we should have done 3 in a row. We won in 94. Many people felt that they should have won in 98 because they were the best team. They should have won in 98. And of course, they still was up in 02. But now people say, if they'd won in 98, would they have won in 02? I still think so, yeah. I still think so, yeah. Well, I don't know. Because if they'd won it in 98, especially with Ronaldo, would Ronaldo still have the kind of mental fortitude to be like, oh no, I really want to see what's been 02? I think the reason why he got those goals and he was so clutch was because of what happened 4 years ago. So Adriano, Cafu, Beto Carlos, Ronaldo, Kaká, Dino. When people saw the team sheets, guys were like, don't bother turning up. It's like, no. It's like, it's a done. Like, no, don't bother turning up. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. It's also in the World Cup in which Ronaldo obviously broke the World Cup goals record, which was again broken by closer in 2014. But when you saw this team, it's over. This World Cup was proof and showed you that football tournaments isn't won on paper. It's won on the pitch. And this was no difference here. Because you were thinking, no, these guys are definitely going to win. They're definitely going to win. They're too good. They're too good. But the bully will always meet his match. But they met his match in the Zid. And I think that, it was one of those notions where I think a lot of people in Brazil were like, how did we not win this? Like, we were meant to win it, like, because that is arguably one of the most talented teams ever. One of the most talented teams ever. But again, all because you've got all the names and so forth, it doesn't mean anything. Because you still have to face someone like a Zidane. And when someone like a Zidane is inspired, it doesn't matter how many amazing players you have, it's going to be difficult to beat. Because it's the Zid, and it's an inspired Zid. So yeah, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, man. Because I just assumed, before the World Cup, I was like, oh, no, Brazil, they've won it. That 06 team is too good. And Ronaldo, you owe me £5 because I bet money on you to be top scorer and you turned up overweight. You owe me money, bro. The very first video on this channel, was in 2010 when this clown known as Dunga did not pick Ronaldinho. I mean, one of them, still to this day, I was like, you prick. You really couldn't give Ronaldinho one more World Cup. And he was ready to do it. You really couldn't give him one more World Cup. And a chance for him to sort of like right the wrongs of what happened 4 years ago in 06. And it was a Brazil team that, I know 94 was pragmatic. These guys were doing counter-attack. So Dunga, you want to make Brazil a defensive counter-attack team? Are you sick? And rightfully so, they got beat. Netherlands were like, nah. And also remember, before this, Netherlands had a very poor record against Brazil. So this was huge for the Netherlands, but 100% Brazil got beat because they tried to be European against Europeans. You can't be Europeans at their own game, yo. You can't do it. The birth of a hero. So we had Pele, Mario, Zico, Ronaldo. Neymar was next up. We all saw that goal of this century, and Neymar was ready to say, I am here, I've arrived, what's up? And he was balling. Like Neymar was balling. And he was, in the first few games, he was fulfilling the idea that this is the next global superstar. This is the next Pele, this is the next Ronaldo, this is the next Romario. And we're like, wow, can this guy on home soil lead Brazil to glory? He got speared. I would have loved to see what Neymar would have done fully at this World Cup. I'd have loved to. But Zuniga had other ideas. And with that injury, so remember when we said the worst day in Brazilian football was that 1950 final, losing at home to Uruguay? This was the war. This then superseded it. It is the most infamous game in. It's one of the most infamous games in sports history. For one of the most recognized sports teams, which is the Brazilian football team, to lose in the World Cup semi-final at home 7-1. It still gives me chills thinking about it. Specifically that first half, 5 goals in. They were 5-0 down in about 20 minutes. They were 5-0 down in about 20 minutes. It was a shocking day. And still to this day, I haven't seen the entire match. Because there were the moments where I felt embarrassed for Brazil, so I couldn't even watch. Because remember, it was me and my brother that were watching it. I couldn't even watch the whole thing. It was embarrassing. It was beyond embarrassing, man. And many have said that Brazil have not yet fully recovered from this. So 2018, there was hope. 2018, there was hope. Had a very good qualification, and they were one of the favorites in 2018. But they ran into the Red Devils, bro. They ran into the Belgians, and the Belgians were like, nah, we're not having that, bro. So yet again, another failure, and the feeling was, man, have we exercised those demons that we had against Germany? So we now look at 2022, and they're one of the favorites. Superb attack. Vini, Rafinha, Anthony, Richarlison, Jesus, Neymar. They have guys, Guimaraes, Paqueta, Casemiro, Dani Alves coming through, Thiago Silva, Marquinhos, Tejas, Alisson, arguably second, third best keeper in the world. They have bodies, they have guys. If Dani Alves wins this, he becomes the most decorated footballer in history. He becomes the most decorated footballer in history if he wins this. He's going to be huge. For me, I still feel Courtois is the best keeper in the world. And I would say, as a right now, because Mane has been injured, I would say Becker is the second best keeper in the world. Ask any Liverpool fan, they say without Becker, Liverpool are not where they are right now. Becker has 1 point for Liverpool. And I'm talking about clutch saves, 1v1 saves that have kept Liverpool in the game. So if Becker brings his best form, this could be critical for Brazil, especially when they now go deeper into the second round, quarters, semis. So it could get very real, man. He's going to be huge. I don't care of his age. Ask any Chelsea fan. We've been struggling with Chelsea, but ask any Chelsea fan. Thiago Silva has been Chelsea's best player. Hands down, Thiago Silva has been Chelsea's best player because this guy, despite his age, has been an amazing defender. And the thing about defending is it's not about age. The older you are, the wiser you are. Guys like Maldini, Costa Curta, Barres, these guys play till their late 30s because defending is all about your wisdom and the reading of the game, which comes through years of experience. This is legacy defining. This is legacy defining. Brazil don't win the World Cup without Neymar balling. If Neymar plays at his best, Brazil have a great chance of going all the way. And Neymar knows that I lead Brazil to this World Cup, I'm set. And I can now sit at the table with these dudes. Because Pele and Ronaldo and Romario, they say, yo, we've got a seat waiting for you. Do you want to come in? He has the ability, he has the skill, he has the mentality, he has the character, he has all the tools. He just needs to cash that check. Because he can have all the tools in the world, but can he cash that check? I just have a feeling of 06. I just have a feeling of 06 that as talented as they are, I just feel that it's too obvious. But Brazil can win it. Brazil can win it. And if Brazil win it, Neymar can be fully etched in history. And Neymar knows how important this is, because this is it. This is it. This is your best point. All the stars of a line, this is your best chance. But I just feel that, much like in 06, when they ran into France, they're gonna run into someone. Guys, do your World Cup predictors. If Brazil grow top, those guys in blue and white go top, they meet in the semi-finals, and if they run into just that one individual, similar as they run into Zidane. But guys, that's the whole excitement. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's wait and see. Brazil.